So there are a couple of problems with this Dream response that came out that make it feel more like a PR piece than an actual statistical debunking. The first thing before I go into the paper is I want to talk about a very, very problematic part of the code, and that is in the simulation by this particular PhD professor in statistics, they made a noob trap mistake. Now, maybe it's just a mistake and they screwed this up and they didn't understand it. Maybe they just work with very large numbers and they're not aware of this problem. But the mistake is that this is never going to give you 8 pearls in your simulation. It's only going to give you between 4 and 7. Which at first glance you might think, well, that's going to benefit Dream because in his simulation, he's actually being conservative in his pearl drop rate, which is correct. However, this statistician has used and leaned heavily on the outcome of this Monte Carlo simulation to prove their statistics. The problem is that this simulation is blatantly wrong. So let me show you what I mean. This particular line of code that this person uses to determine or to randomly give the value of 4 to 8 will never be 8. And to prove that, I'm going to run this through 1,000 iterations, and I'm going to add up the number of outcomes. The outcome was 4, 260 times, 5, 248 times, 6, 267, and 7, 225 times. It never hits 8. So out of the gate, your statistics on this are going to be horrifically screwed because you no longer have 20% chance of 4, 20% chance of 5, 20% chance of 6. You now have 25% chance of 4 through 7, which skews the outcome of your simulation so heavily that you cannot rely on this simulation to back up your statistics, which this author has done. So right out of the gate, their code is wrong to the point that it can't support any of the statistics. Now, I can't speak to the heavy statistics side of things, but I can speak to some of the fallacies that this person has fallen into. But this right here, this line of code, is such a noob trap when working with NumPy and Python that I don't think that this person is a competent professor. Either they are not actually a professor and Dream got scammed, or that this person needs to have their license to teach revoked because this is just egregious and it's just, in my eyes, pathetic when you're trying to debunk something in front of millions of people. But now let's get back into the actual paper itself and go through what it actually says about Dream and what it actually says about the outcome. So let's actually first talk about the top of it. So assuming that the statistics that this paper proves are actually accurate and correct, which, like I just said before, is they aren't. What it looks like is the outcome and their statistics were wrong, and you can say that because they fit their statistics to the outcome of their model that they built in their simulation, and the simulation is just incorrect. It can't be correct because their code is wrong. But outside of all that, the chances of Dream getting this lucky are 1 in 100 million. You could technically argue that that's possible, but that's still pretty astronomical. So even at the end of the day, this paper doesn't exonerate Dream, just makes Dream seem slightly less guilty, but still extremely guilty. But all that said, the only reason why he's slightly less guilty is because they've made some gross assumptions and some gross misuse of statistics to prove it. Let me talk about a couple things here. This author makes the statement that the chance of a perfect ender pearl and blaze drop record is about 1 in 60,000 odds. I don't know if that's actually 100% correct, but that seems about right the last time I checked. So we're going to assume that's correct. That's fine. But the claim by the author is that this occurs multiple times per hour because there are so many people playing Minecraft every day. That's bizarre and nonsense to claim. Yes, that's probably true, but that has nothing to do with Dream. To invent or include random variables like millions of other players playing Minecraft in an analysis of a single player's speedrun is nonsense, and all it does is serve to claim, yeah, well, statistics, sometimes you can't rely on them. Statistics just kind of say that things are rare, but rare things can happen. No, this is silly, and this is just serves to kind of divert from the idea that Dream just got lucky. It's like somebody has to get lucky. Why not Dream? Well, because here's why. Is what the statistics say on other papers and other released documents. But then he goes on to claim that considering all Minecraft worlds ever played and multitude of ways in which luck plays a role, even 1 in a trillion events happen daily. Again, just because millions of other players play does not mean that Dream's odds are higher. Million people playing Minecraft does not mean that Dream's odds of getting a perfect drop rate are better than 1 in 60,000. They stay the exact same. His odds do not get modified by other players playing. Then, of course, this author goes on to include a bunch of historical relevance to that statement, which is correct. This is technically correct, that 1 in a trillion events happen daily. That is technically a correct statement, but it has nothing to do with Dream. And then they go on to include a bunch of nonsense that just extends the length of the paper and makes it harder for a non-technical person to read. This is PR piece stuff. This is, well, maybe I can trick the person to thinking that because a rare thing has to happen, it has to happen to Dream. It's just by default, rare things happen to happen, so why not him? That's what they're saying with this, and it's nonsense. So that's silly. And then they go on to talk about another issue called barter stopping simulation. I don't want to go too much into detail on it, but it does play a factor in the code. But MFB here on Reddit does a really good job of talking about the barter issue, and I don't want to take away from it because the technical stuff is above my pay grade and above my skill. But barter stopping would only apply if you took a cherry-picked event of a speedrun. You just looked at one really successful event and then barter stopped on it. Yes, of course, obviously, if you're looking at a very lucky speedrun, of course it's going to look like they had better odds. It's not, but that's not the case here. We're looking at multiple sequential speedruns over the course of 6 different streams in the course of the same month. There is no cherry picking of events. You could maybe claim that barter stopping applies to the very last stream of the very last game, the very last speedrun that was made, but you can't apply it across the board like this particular paper tries to do. And down in the code, they apply barter correction in kind of an egregious and gross way. That really skews the statistics that were already wrong in the first place because of this particular line of code. But that's a pain in the ass. And then on top of all of that, they also seem to claim, I'm assuming this is influenced by Dream and not the statistician pulling this data in, they seem to claim that because Dream played 5 streams months earlier than the 6 in question, that we should really include all 11 streams in general. So let me give you a scenario that is almost guaranteed what happened. Dream cheated in the 6 most recent streams he played and the one where he got his speed run. Before that, he didn't. So before that, the odds of him getting Ender Pearl drop rates that were significant were average. And in fact, if we look at those odds and we look at the outcome, it took him way more trades on average on those 5 streams that were not included than the 6 streams of significance and of interest. And that's because it is extremely likely that those first 5 streams were not cheated and these most recent 6 ones were. Now, there's also the question of, well, Dream posted his jar file of his Minecraft game, his Minecraft jar file, and he posted that and we can see that ourselves. And the answer to that is yes, you can see that and you can decompile that jar file and you can see that he did not manipulate the Minecraft jar directly. This does not exonerate him at all, and in fact, it serves again as a distraction. This is a PR announcement. Hey, look, I didn't actually cheat in this one particular way that I really shouldn't have cheated in the first place that way because that would have been silly and too obvious. This is the jar file that he released. This is the loot table for Piglin trading that he released, and it shows that, yeah, he didn't manipulate it. But I actually posted a video, I think a week or 2 ago, of me showing how to make a mod in less than like 5 minutes on how to make a mod that doesn't manipulate the native Minecraft jar file and actually does modify the drop rates of Piglin trading. And I've actually published that mod on CurseForge. It's called RNGesus. And so you can use it too yourself. It's not hard to use. It's not hard to make. And it does not look any different than what Dream's speedrun looks. All it does is modify drop rates. So this jar file, again, is kind of a distraction. Him releasing that goes, yeah, see, I didn't modify these values, so clearly I'm innocent. No, nonsense. That has nothing to do with it. It's like me saying, I didn't shoot that guy. Look at my wallet. See, they are 2 completely different things, and they should not at all be in the same conversation. The jar file is a valid concern for speedrun to check. Maybe they wanted to say, hey, submit your jar file so we know you didn't manipulate the base jar file, but that's not the only way you can cheat, and I am almost certain the way that he cheated is not that way. But anyways, that's all I really wanted to say. I'm kind of heated and angry. As you can see, I'm a subscriber to Dream. I like Dream. His videos are very entertaining. His videos are very fun. But the fact that he's doubled down on this issue and he's claiming, I didn't cheat. Here's all this random PR nonsense that doesn't actually prove I didn't cheat, but can be a bunch of gobbledygook that my viewers can eat up and believe. That's problematic for me. Not because it makes Dream look like a terrible person, but because it calls into question a lot of the speedrunning community and the speedrunning as a whole and whether or not they're corrupt. Speedrun.com did nothing wrong here. They are clearly not biased in this scenario. They have an absolute right to be concerned about the speedrun's outcome here. And in my eyes, they are correct. Dream cheated. If they think Dream cheated, that's not bias. That's, hey, look, the evidence says Dream cheated. So that's silly to me that Dream is trying to call them out for bias there. But the reason it's problematic for me is I love watching speedrunning. And I don't want to see a community like speedrun.com infight and start to have all these issues and claim corruption because this one really big YouTuber with a bunch of super fans are claiming that they are all corrupt and terrible. That's what's happening right now, and it's nonsense. This is being driven by a PR machine that Dream is running and not by any actual statistics. And I'm on my soapbox now. None of this is really relevant at this point, but that's why I'm passionate about this, and that's why I care so much. But if you're interested in cheating at Minecraft, and having super ludicrous drop rates. I think I crank the rate of Ender Pro drops up to like 80% in my mod. You can download the mod. I'll leave a description, a link in the description below, and you can download it from CurseForge yourself and try it out on a fabric instance of Minecraft. But anyways, thanks for listening to me. If you listened all the way through, I appreciate it. If you have an idea for a mod, I guess, shoot me a message and I'll see if I can't make it. Sometimes I have fun making Minecraft mods on the side. And so thanks for watching. And I'll talk to you guys in whatever video I make next.